how do you help people who are like starting from ground zero?
We start with education because, like I say, social media, in those little clips and stuff, it doesn't tell the whole story. It gives you the quick and easy, but there's a lot of rules and regulations behind the quick and easy. So say I saw this TikTok or Instagram reel that said that I need to be an S corp so I can write my whole life away. And I'm like, well, no, that's not quite how it works. First, let's look at your finances. Let's go through this questionnaire to see, if it even makes sense. And then if it does, I take them through an onboarding training, because when you go from a sole proprietor to a sole proprietor or a single member LLC to an S Corp, you're now telling the IRS that I want to be treated like a corporation. So you can't do things the same way that you were doing them if you were a sole proprietor or a single member LLC. And I think that is important. One of the main things that I see a lot of is people still continue to pay themselves like they pay themselves as a sole proprietor or single member LLC. Just transfer the funds to their personal bank account. Well, now that you're a corporation, that's called a distribution. And if you don't have enough basis to cover that distribution, now you're going to be taxed on the money, and you kind of like defeating the purpose of the S Corp anyway, because the purpose was to separate your business, provide some legal protection, and save on taxes. Well, if you're distributing everything out and you don't have the basis to cover that, now you're increasing your taxes. So that's the part that a lot of people don't understand.
Welcome to the Analytical Rewired, the best place to discuss various obstacles, limitations, challenges, behaviors, and how to overcome them in business. We deep dive into the complexities of people, processes, data, and technology, PPDT, adopting our focus to be either technical or creative expressions, and how to balance the two. The Analytical Rewired is brought to you by the MJW Group, a performance improvement and leadership development boutique management consulting firm that helps companies save time and money. Welcome to the Analytical Rewired. I am your host, Jennifer White, CEO of the MJW Group, and I have my co-host with me, Sarah Ashley. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I feel like we're so close to the weekend. Like
we're so close we can taste it.
Exactly. But it's gonna be a cold taste this weekend.
It is. I'm gonna stay inside as much as possible.
Yeah, exactly. So we have a very special guest with us here. She is in our area as well. We live in Charlotte, North Carolina, so that's what we're saying. We're gonna have a cold snap this weekend. So I'm interested to see how our guest deals with cold weather. Karitsa Kerns, how are you?
Hello. I am doing well, and yourself?
Doing pretty good. Do you like the cold, Karitsa?
I do not. Like,
no.
If I could, I would go in the house in November and not come out till April.
Oh my God.
I feel the same way, though.
You're going to miss all the pumpkins and the Christmas lights. You can't see all that if you stay inside.
They have it on TV.
It's like when you put the fire on the TV or something and you have like
on YouTube.
Yes.
You're like, that'll do.
Yeah. So
movies.
Exactly. That's what I want to do this evening when we finish up with this recording. So everyone, Karitsa is a tax enrolled agent. Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
Or enrolled agent.
It's enrolled agent.
Yes. She has a firm. Her firm is called K&K Tax and Accounting Services, and she specializes in accounting advisory services and tax planning for real estate professionals and other service providers. And I've been in Karitsa's world for the last almost 12 months now, because she's been helping us here at the MJW Group work through some of our tax questions and woes. And so, yeah, we thought it would be great to have her on the podcast as well. So, Karitsa, why don't you give an intro to everyone on what it is that you do and your experience and what led you to starting your own firm?
First, can I say, time has flown. It's been almost 12 months already.
We're at the end of the year.
Yeah, that is correct.
I know. I was about to say, I feel like we just blinked and now we're in December, the end of December.
Yep. So, as Jennifer stated, I'm a tax advisor, but I'm also an enrolled agent, NTPI fellow through the National Association of Enrolled Agents. I went through like a certified tax coaching program to study more about the advanced tax planning. And what else? I'm a CPA candidate. I recently passed the first section of the CPA exam, got 3 more to go. Mm-hmm. So with all of that being said, I love all things taxes. And I found my joy and happiness in helping people prevent those large tax bills. When I first got into business, I realized there were a number of ways that you can actually go. You can do tax prep, you can do tax resolution, you can do accounting and advisory, you can do like just so many things. Like you had so many options. And as I was navigating my way through, I was like, I love tax planning. Like, I don't like being on the phone with the IRS. That whole time is insane. Like you might be on the phone for 3 hours and they disconnect you and you got to call back and wait 3 more hours. And when I was looking at everything, I was like, I want to help people. I don't want to deal with the IRS. I want to help people not have to deal with the IRS. So what can we do to make sure that people are paying the least amount of taxes? They're being proactive about it and putting strategies in place so that they're not getting those surprise letters from the IRS and they are keeping more of their money that they earned.
Mm-hmm. Nice. That's important. Mm-hmm. Like we want to keep the funds.
Absolutely.
And right when you say that, made me think of that song. I don't know who sings, but I hear it all the time now. My money don't jiggle wiggle, it folds.
Yeah.
I want to keep my money. I don't want this jingling stuff. I want my dollar bills.
I mean, think about it. A lot of people overpay $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in taxes because they don't know any better. And once you have those savings, I have clients now like, okay, I'm not going to have this $25,000 tax bill or this $30,000, $40,000 tax bill. I'm about to go invest in some property. So when you make those kind of moves and you're saving that kind of money, you can invest in other things to increase your income.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And a lot of business owners, and me being one, because this whole world is new for me. We're in year 5. I didn't know about these different strategies that are out there. Like these things aren't just information that you can just find easily. It's kind of like you have to be in the know, or you have to know somebody that knows how to do this correctly. So please, everyone, don't be dangerous. Consult a certified tax professional or your CPA that knows the laws of tax law. So I don't want anybody just going out doing things on their own. But I didn't know about these strategies or known that they even existed or what you could do to avoid taxes. So I've been learning a lot from Karitsa in a short amount of time. That she's been in my world. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I tell people all the time, you don't know what you don't know. Like, and TikTok and Twitter and all of the social media gurus will have you thinking it's a piece of cake. Like, social media has really kept me busy.
Wow. I will also say, I was going to say, whenever I was like opening a business, I feel like I was searching information for taxes because I clearly did not know anything. And same as I couldn't find anything. I could barely find a resource that actually gave me the information that I needed to do my taxes properly. I'm pretty sure our first year we ended up being late because I was scrambling to find an accountant because I was like, I can't do this by myself.
Yeah.
And this poor guy had to go through all of our receipts for the whole year. And I was just, I wish I had known better, honestly.
Yeah, and you live
so bad
and you learn. The thing is you got on track, so that's what's most important.
Right, right. So Karitsa, speaking of how we came into each other's environment, you want to tell the story of how we met? I guess I'll say I kind of got pushed out of the nest from my accountant, and he introduced me to Karitsa.
Yes, Terrell, he is so nice. He's a CPA as well, and he's focusing more on the CFO services, and he wasn't doing like tax planning and tax prep anymore. And so he connected, Terrell and I connected on social media, and we had a phone call, and we saw the value that each other, could bring. And so he connected me with Jennifer. And when we spoke, he reassured me that he was not kicking you out.
Lies.
Yes, he found a safe place for you to land.
Yes. And I'm so glad he introduced us to you, because like I said, I've been learning, like, Karissa will tell me, like, what about this? Have you heard of this before? I'm like, huh? I didn't even know that was a thing. So yeah, there's a lot to learn when you're a business owner. Like, how do you help people through that, Karitsa? I mean, I kind of knew enough. I've educated myself a little bit more because I like to read, and now I was so into personal finance before I started our business. So I was already down that path. Like I said, business tax strategy is a little bit different, but how do you help people who are like starting from ground zero?
We start with education because, like I say, social media, in those little clips and stuff, it doesn't tell the whole story. It gives you the quick and easy, but there's a lot of rules and regulations behind the quick and easy. So say I saw this TikTok or Instagram reel that said that I need to be an S Corp so I can write my whole life away. And I'm like, well, no, that's not quite how it works. First, let's look at your finances. Let's go through this questionnaire to see, if it even makes sense. And then if it does, I take them through an onboarding training, because when you go from a sole proprietor to a single member, a sole proprietor or a single member LLC to an S Corp, you're now telling the IRS that I want to be treated like a corporation. So you can't do things the same way that you were doing them if you were a sole proprietor or a single member LLC. And I think that is important. One of the main things that I see a lot of is people still continue to pay themselves like they pay themselves as a sole proprietor or single member LLC. Just transfer the funds to their personal bank account. Well, now that you're a corporation, that's called a distribution. And if you don't have enough basis to cover that distribution, now you're going to be taxed on the money, and you kind of like defeating the purpose of the S Corp anyway, because the purpose was to separate your business, provide some legal protection, and save on taxes. Well, if you're distributing everything out and you don't have the basis to cover that, now you're increasing your taxes. So that's the part that a lot of people don't understand.
Wow, so many bars, Karissa, dropped right there. It's like step one.
Yes, step one. Let's schedule your onboarding call and get this S Corp training, because I need you to stop doing what you were doing previously immediately.
I agree. And just that little tidbit, again, everyone listening, please consult a tax professional or your CPA before attempting any of this. But yeah, just that little tidbit. That's what I mean. Like, there's so many strategies that I think there's not a clear path when you're just Googling out there. You really need to work with someone who's been there, who knows what they're talking about, who has the experience to help guide you, and not, try to take these things on because you have enough on your plate as a business owner, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like we've been in this transformation, not a transformation, but a loop. I feel like I've been in a loop for like since March of 2020, and I just can't get out of this loop. You know what I mean?
I do think it's been a time continuum. I sometimes I'm like, what year is it? Where's the time gone?
That's funny. I was just talking to one of my girlfriends. I was like, that really should count as 1 year.
For real.
We need a redo. We need
like what a year or two. Like that should count as 1 year.
It really should. So Karitsa, what led you to tax and accounting? Like how did you even end up there? Like, because I'm an engineer and we call you guys bean counters.
Yeah. Honestly, it started back in high school.
That's rare. Okay.
Very.
So math was always my favorite subject. And then when I was in the 11th and 12th grade, I took accounting 1 and 2. And then when I was in the 12th grade, I was able to go work in an accounts receivables department. And I was like, I want to do accounting. I'm going to be a CPA. It didn't happen immediately, like right after school, life happens. And fast forward, I had tried, different things. I've been a licensed real estate broker for over 20 years and I love real estate. But I found out like recently when everything was starting to shake out with COVID, I ended up, doing more taxes, but I realized that I like the investing side of real estate, the renting, the flipping, the fixing up, and, stuff like that, because I did some of that as well. But fast forward, COVID hit, because initially my plan was to do taxes and tax stuff from January to April, and then May sell houses. Well, I quit my full-time job in 2019. So
great plan at the time.
And then next year was like, surprise.
Hindsight is 2020. But I sold a couple houses in 2019. And then when March rolled around, peak of tax season, everything just went haywire. And because the tax season was extended from April to July that year, I believe. And then we had the extended deadline in September and October. And then we were rolling right in the year end. And then with all of that came all the COVID law changes and everything. So I was either face down in the books on a continuing ed course or just working, trying to help people get their finances together. And a lot of people did not qualify for the PPP loans, which really opened my eyes because a lot of people weren't handling their business and their books properly, because it should have just been a click of a button and apply for the loan and, boom, here's your money. But I realized a lot of people did not have their finances together, their books together. And that's where I decided to lean more into like the advisory and accounting role along with tax planning and stuff like that, because it was a huge gap between what was available to in comparison to who qualified.
Wow. I don't know, as you were speaking through that, I'm just like, I just had process, organization, like going through my head, of course. And I'm just like, why is it so hard for people to be organized?
I think because people look at taxes and bookkeeping, they look at it like bookkeeping is easy. I can keep my own records. I can do it in a spreadsheet, or I can just
And then that poor man reading those receipts at the end of the year was probably cursing my name. I was like, I got it. I can do it all myself.
But when you first start out, that's okay. But when you start making $150,000, $250,000 and you got consistent income coming in, you need to understand, you need an accounting software so that you can be organized. And the hard part that people don't understand is you have to understand how those systems work. Anybody can download QuickBooks and use it, but you got to understand, one, how the system works, and two, you got to understand tax and accounting, because certain things may flow to the balance sheet, certain things may flow to the profit and loss statement. And if you don't know that, your taxes can be messed up.
Facts. That's all I'm gonna say. Just facts.
Okay. You know. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, it kind of sounds like it was a very chaotic 2020 for you.
It was a very chaotic in 2020 and 2021.
Yeah. And 2022. We're just rolling into it.
2022 was a little less chaotic, but even on my part, I had to get like some of my processes and pre-qualifications and things like that in place so that going into 2023, we don't have those same, problems.
Like, I agree. Work
that's
smarter.
all I've been talking about all year is tax planning and accounting. That's all I've been talking about.
Understandable.
Yeah. And if anyone listening, we'll definitely make sure we get Karitsa's information, but she does have a great newsletter. You send out your newsletter, is it every Wednesday or Tuesday morning?
I need to be more consistent.
But lately it has been, though. I've been reading them.
On good weeks, I was doing Monday and Friday. If something came to mind, I'll send out something extra during the week, like on a Wednesday. But yeah, when I get really busy, that's like one of the things that kind of fall to the side, but I jump right back in because I do want to stay connected with the people on my email list because they do read it. And I try to provide information that's going to be helpful, like not just a bunch of spam or, just buy this, schedule this, I try to give, information that's going to be helpful throughout the year so that it'll trigger the thought, oh, I need to call an accountant. If this is happening, this date is coming up, I need to get with my accountant. So I want to stay in front of people's minds so that they would know that, hey, I got a business, I'm talking to business owners primarily. So if you got a business, you need to do steps 1 through 3 before tax season.
Yeah, it definitely makes me, because when I reach out, I'm like, hey, I think it's time for us to have a chat. But yeah, your hooks and your emails, like they scare me sometimes. So I'm just like, I don't want to be one of those stories that she's talking about.
No, you're like, I will not be another statistic.
You are a good story.
Okay, good. So, Karissa, how have you seen the industry shift? So, of course, you talked about the pandemic and the tax changes, and we have tax changes coming up again in less than 4 years. So, how have you seen all these shifts, and how do you keep up with it?
That's why I wasn't selling houses. Like I have to be in it all day, every day. And even before I quit my job, I realized, okay, I worked in payroll, tax, and accounting for over 20 years, and I was doing taxes on the side. But the more tax prep I did, and the more I had to research, the more I realized, oh, there's so much more. And that's really what led me to tax plan. I'm like, oh my God, they got a $30,000 tax bill. What can we do to reduce this? How can we prevent this? Because I look at people's tax returns and tax bills like it's my money. Like before I upload it and send it off, I'm like,
what we doing? What we doing with this?
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God.
That's a good quality, though. I would like that to be my tax person if they're looking at it like it's their money.
Yeah, I'm like, we don't want to get an IRS all of this.
No. And I guess like you mentioned about TikTok and Instagram, because I know some people are going to hate me for saying this, but there's people out there that are showing their Bentley trucks and who else? Their Teslas, like they're buying these things because they're trying to avoid tax bills, but they probably have a tax strategy. So that's why I'm saying, don't you all go out there and try to do these things without consulting a professional.
Right. I had people last year come and be like, I bought a car, and I'm like, but you don't have your books, because the thing with those G-Wagons and those SUVs, you buy a car in your business name, now it's an asset to the business. That goes on the balance sheet. And I tell people all the time, before you go out and buy a car, make sure that your business can afford it, because that payment is not deductible. You're paying towards the loan on that balance sheet. So that loan balance on the balance sheet is going to be deducted, but you get to deduct the interest, not the whole car payment, because it was like, oh, it's a business expense. It depends on how you do it. And that's why you look at all options before you make any decisions. Sit down with your accountant and be like, okay, does this make sense for my business?
Bars.
But the main thing that I've seen as far as the industry changing over the last few years, one, well, I got my EA and I finished my last EA exam in November of 2017. In 2018, like, you know, the tax law hadn't been changed besides like rate changes and, you know, stuff like that for years. No huge overhaul. Well, I thought I was doing good. I understood the majority of the taxes and, you know, things like that. And after I passed my last enrolled agent exam, 2018, here come the Tax Cuts and Job Act. It wiped out everything that I had studied and learned. And I was
Reset.
Reset. When I heard people say, I need a accountant that's been in business for 20 years, I'm like, we all brand new this year.
Pretty much.
We all had to learn the new tax laws.
You said we had to start from zero, my friend.
It seemed like it's been nonstop changes ever since, like I say, with the Tax Cuts and Job Act, and then the new administration Tax Cuts and Job Act, and then there was so many changes for those 2 years around COVID. Like it was so many changes, and you have to stay on top of those changes, or it will be a disadvantage to your clients because you won't know how to shake and move to get those tax credits and deductions and things like that.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, and the other thing is a lot of firms are going virtual. You know, there was a lot of orders. So that, I think that was the biggest, like people realize I don't have to sit in front of somebody and do their return while they waiting on me, asking me questions and stuff. So a lot of people are have gone virtual, and because of all the changes and how hectic it has been over the last few years, a lot of people are retiring. Like they are like changing careers, they're retiring, they're going into real estate investing and stuff like that. So I got in, well, I've been in it for January. I'll be in business for 7 years.
And
so, thank you. So I got in, you know, still loving taxes, excited, and just rolling with the punches.
Doesn't sound like it's for the week, honestly.
It's not for the week.
Oh, thanks, bro.
Definitely not for the week.
I have had my weak moments. Well, on days I just sent off job applications. Like,
oh no,
I can't do this anymore.
I can't do this no more. And they come back, reject. Y'all see
said, all right.
Or that post where they say, I threw the towel in and God threw it back. That's how I feel. Like I'm trying to quit.
Unfortunately, after you've ran your company for a while, people are like, you're not employable. So no, we don't.
Yeah.
Access denied.
Can't use her.
I was just having a moment.
You said I didn't want to work here anyway.
That's it.
Oh boy. So Karissa, as we wrap up here, what are some things you've had to totally rewire your brain, your mindset about your business and how you've been, you know, working in your business, or even the type of clients, because we all have them, that we choose, let me be careful when I say choose to work with?
Yes, that is a great question, because over the last couple of years, I really had to take a step back and look at, you know, what was going on in my business and, you know, the people that I was choosing to work with and stuff. And I realized, because when I got in the business and I saw all the things that were like available and how to help people, I thought I could help everybody. And I realized pretty quickly, especially after I went full time, I realized pretty quickly I could not help everybody. And with my skill set and background and education and everything, I had to I hats off to my business coaches, because they was like, your skill set doesn't match the people that you're talking to on social media. You need to change your language so that you can attract the people who actually need your services. She said, you're trying to convince people who don't need your services that they need their services, when it's people out there that know they need your services and they're looking for you. You're just not talking to them. And so that was like my biggest like light bulb moment, because if I had stayed on the track that I was on, I'd probably be bankrupt by now. Like I'm trying to get people to understand that investing in an accountant and even an attorney or a business coach, like those are investments. Like you're not spending money. And I can be thrifty on certain things. Like I can order a $5 shirt from Amazon, but I might have on a pair of $200 shoes because I got big feet and I need some shoes that's gonna hold me up, some good solid shoes. But I understand being thrifty, but I never understood, like when it came to things like your finances and your money, I don't want the cheapest person. I don't want the person that's just going to do what I tell them to do or want them to do. I want somebody that's going to educate me and help me understand how to do things legally. And so that I'm protected all around the board. You know, we talk about generational wealth and things like that, but the things that I've seen, you're not going to have generational wealth the way that you're operating, and you're borderline looking at prison.
Oh my God.
You're like, this is bad. Don't do that anymore.
It's all bad.
Or you're looking at the IRS, you know, locking your assets down because now you got this huge tax bill. They announced that they're gonna hire like 87,000.
I saw that.
Yeah. Ooh. And they talking about there's going to be an uptick in audits. Now they said they wasn't going to audit anybody making less than $400,000, but at the same time, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit out there. So, and the low-hanging fruit is not necessarily making $400,000 and up, because a lot of those people are hiring accountants. It's the ones that, you know, think they can do it on their own,
right?
Or, you know, looking for the fly by night, you know, person that's just going to do what they want them to do. And I just see a lot of, you know, issues in the coming years. I don't do tax resolution, but a lot of my friends are going into tax resolution. They're going into U.S. tax court practitioner studies and stuff like that, because I believe it's going to be it's going to be a lot of eye-opening situations when these audits come through. Yeah. Some people say they're not going to be able to do it. I say it's best to stay ready so you don't have to get ready, because it's going to cost a whole lot more to defend yourself in an audit or in U.S. tax court than it is to do things the right way up front.
Bars. Like, oh my gosh, how do I even unpack what you just said? Like, I guess here we can relate as well, because what we practice on operations management, and we try to just get people to write a process, like just document what you're doing in case of an audit. Like, we have auditing as well. We teach people how to audit, how to create a rabbit trail. That's what I call it. It's like, how do I create breadcrumbs for my future self?
Right.
That's literally what it is. Like you're saying, you're trying to stay ready, because if you have documentation, you're ready to defend, you got receipts, like the young kids say these days.
Yeah.
You don't have issues trying to get your bag, like the young kids say these days.
Right.
But when you don't have receipts, you don't leave a rabbit trail, you don't leave breadcrumbs. You just out here just, I don't know. Like, I don't know how people are just out here doing what they're doing. Like, it amazes me. I'm just like, I was never brought up that way. My parents were not always the best organized people, but they taught me, like, you need to keep things in orderly, and keep things in fashion, and govern yourself accordingly. You know what I mean? Like, don't allow somebody to come check for you when they don't need to come check for you. Like, that's how I was raised. And so it just bewilders me, like, out here, how people are behaving. And what we saw during COVID is probably what amped the IRS to say, you know what, no more. Like, enough is enough. So
I believe
it's weird.
I believe that. Like, all politics aside, Joe Biden made a comment that African Americans know how to make money. Like, they make money, they just don't hire accountants. And like, that just sent chills. Like, I almost felt like exposed, like, why are we talking about this? But it's a lot of people. Like, it's across the board. I've encountered and as a matter of fact, it's a mindset. Either you got the business or the CEO mindset, or you got the hustler mindset. And the hustler mindset is, I just want to make money, hide it under the mattress, and not pay taxes. Well, if something comes up and you get audited, you decide to start depositing money in the bank, or, you know, something like that. We all know that money under the mattress isn't safe, but, you know, you got Cash App these days. People think Cash App and Zelle and, you know, those type of things are going to keep you from an audit. Well, they can subpoena your bank statements. Like, it's just so many things that they can do. It's just best to do it right from the beginning.
I agree.
And I think they made some again. Yeah, and I think they made some laws or something about Venmo too, because people were starting to pay with mainly Venmo. I can't quite remember what I read about it, but
probably the $600 threshold for getting a 1099. What is it? 1099K or something?
Yeah. If you receive money for goods or services over $600, you're going to get a 1099K. But here's the thing. Now it's up in the air. They're talking about they may not implement that this year because it's a whole lot of it's just a whole lot going on behind the scenes, and they're trying to keep up, but we really don't know what's going on. But in the meantime, I just tell people, I don't care if you get the money through Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, or whatever. If it's business income, you have to report it.
There you go. The documentation, like, people don't want to take the I don't know, they just think transactions just happen. And now we have footprint because it's digital transactions that are happening. So it's not like they can't trace it back somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, people aren't even writing checks anymore, and people forging checks. And when we add that, so now you have Cash App and Venmo and Zelle and all these places. And it's like, even PayPal, they've started cracking down on their terms and conditions and scrutinizing transactions that are coming through. So it's like everyone's really buttoning up because, I do think there's going to be a lot of changes, like you're saying, with the IRS and just how they audit and look at these digital transactions, because it's new, right? All this is kind of new to us in the last 20 years. So, wow. I'm scared again now. Every time I talk to Chris, I get scared.
You don't have any reason to be scared. You have a great CPA. And I got you back over here.
No, I'm just like, what am I missing? I feel like I'm missing something. What am I doing wrong? Like, I need to make sure
I feel.
Right.
I'll get everything done. Yes. And I feel like I'll get everything done perfectly. I'll even pay my taxes and I'm good to go. And then I'm like, but what if I didn't? And what if they come arrest me? What if they come knock on my door?
They don't come knocking at the door.
And they come arrest me.
I'm not going to knock on your door and arrest you. It's a long process before they get to that point.
That's just the way this brain works sometimes. I was like, I have paid, right? Or I'm like, have I forgotten? Did I actually pay?
Yeah.
Wow.
It can cause some paranoia for real, especially if you use dotting your I's and crossing your T's.
That's for sure.
Right. So I love how you said, just stay ready. Just be, just do what you need to do. Follow. We may not follow it to a T, all the laws or whatever, but if I think in good faith, if you are doing things in good faith, then, things will work out fine for you, or you'll catch something that you may have missed. Because like you said, things are changing so fast, like we can't keep up with it. So, I like that stance, and I love your philosophy, Karitsa, and I'm so glad to be in your world. I'm glad you're part of our advisory team here at the MJW Group to keep us straight, because we're growing. We've doubled within the last year, and it's like, oh my God, like, what am I supposed to do now? Like, I don't know. So it's good to talk to someone that has that experience that can help guide us and making sure we're doing the right things and making sure we're ready as well.
Yes, and
So
I'm
thank
happy
you.
to be a part of your world. I appreciate Terrell connecting us.
Awesome. So, Karitsa, where can everyone find you? What's the best place to connect with you if they want to reach out?
My website, if they want to reach out, you can reach out through the website and you can schedule, an appointment on my website as well. And I am primarily on Instagram and LinkedIn. Those are my two favorites right now. So I can be found on Instagram, Karitsa K_EA, or I do have a business page, K&K Tax. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Karitsa Kerns.
Awesome. Thank you, Karitsa. We'll make sure to put that in the show notes. Everyone, please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We wish K&K Tax and Accounting Services much success. I know you're going to continue to grow. And we'll catch everyone on the next episode. Thanks. See ya.
Bye.